We got some roster news to discuss here on Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning into our AM video. The Saints have signed tight end Seth Green. The name is familiar, maybe because you watch Family Guy or grew up watching Robot Chicken on Adult Swim just like me. But it's not that guy. It's not Chris. It's actually the tight end who formerly played with the Houston Cougars, Minnesota Golden Gophers, and the most recently Arlington Renegades. We're going to talk about him in the tight end room here in great detail on today's show. Really quickly, though, I got a bone to pick because, quite frankly, this pisses me off, and if it doesn't fire you up too, I'm not going to try and say you're a fake fan, but losing to the Falcons, you can see my face is already getting a little red. I'm shaking, not really happy about it. So I need your help. We're losing in our June-like battle this month, so please, please, please hit the thumbs up icon if you are a diehard Saints fan and you hate the Atlanta Falcons. What is happening, WHo Dat Nation? Thank you so much for tuning into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. Like I said, my name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. If this is the first time you've ever tuned into one of our videos, I'm a Saints fan. I've been a Saints fan my entire life, and I love my job. I love talking about the black and gold. And so if this is your first time, I hope that you guys enjoy the content, and I hope that you guys want to hang out and join us for our awesome content that we do live. We're actually going live later on today, so come tune in, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Around 4 p.m. Central Time, we'll see you here on YouTube. Let's talk about the newest member of the black and gold, Seth Green. Welcome to New Orleans. Like I mentioned a little bit in the preview of this show or in the opening of this show, he spent the last 2 years with the Arlington Renegades in the UFL, formerly known as the XFL. And he did play college football at Minnesota from 2017 to 2020. And then he actually transferred over to Houston, and he changed his position from quarterback to tight end / fullback. We're going to talk about it later on. He signed with the Texans as an undrafted free agent back in 2022, spent some time with the Cowboys on their practice squad, ultimately was not kept around in the National Football League. That is why he found himself on the Arlington Renegades. And so let's talk a little bit about the past for Seth Green. Like I mentioned, he played at Minnesota as a quarterback for the Golden Gophers. Fun fact, he actually did go to Allen High School. He's from originally Minnesota, moved down to Allen here in Dallas, Texas, where the Chat Sports studios are emanating. He was a dual-threat quarterback in high school. He was recruited to Minnesota, and he played quarterback there, but then eventually transferred over to Houston. He switched to the tight end and fullback position, so he does have some nice athleticism. 6'3". I think this is a dude that can really offer you something as an offensive weapon. Do I have high expectations for him? Do I think he's going to challenge Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau? Absolutely not. But can he be a guy who maybe competes for a low-end roster spot or a valuable practice squad member? Sure, absolutely. I think it's cool that he has an opportunity. And fun fact, in 2025, only 13 receptions, 150 yards, and 1 touchdown. The production is low because he was actually the backup tight end to Sal Cannella, who last year at mandatory minicamp tried out for the New Orleans Saints. Nothing came to fruition with that tryout, but with Seth Green here, he ended up inking a deal with the black and gold, so he is now a member of the New Orleans Saints. We're going to take an updated look at the tight end room, starting off with tight end 1, Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, and then Taysom Hill, obviously. Those are going to be your top 3 guys, but I could see a world where Kellen Moore, who's been known to utilize the tight end position heavily, would be interested in keeping around an extra player, especially if Taysom Hill has to end up on the PUP list to start off the season. Maybe Dallin Holker's the guy. Maybe Jack Stoll. Maybe Maliki Mataval, who the Saints drafted in the 7th round this year. Seth Green, the most recent addition, and then Michael Jacobson to round out the full unit for the tight end room. At the end of the day, like I mentioned, Taysom Hill is dealing with an injury, and it's pretty severe. I mean, he's 34 years old. It's an ACL tear. It's a major knee injury. Like, it's going to take some time for him to rehab. For what it's worth, he seems like he's in good spirits. He was around the New Orleans Saints during the summer at mandatory minicamp. He wasn't at all participating. He was just present there, which was nice to see. I do think that he will have a large role when he's healthy. Kellen Moore has said that they're excited to get him back, but I don't think you need to rush him back because he is a player that is a little bit older, and he's a very special, very unique player. And I've said it before on the show, I'll say it again. If he can return to form and he can be a very, very valuable weapon once again, which I believe he can, he's given us no reason not to believe in him. You just might have to just say this guy is a freak of nature. He's a god. He is just, a god among men, if you will. Let's go to Foster Moreau because his knee injury is also something to discuss. He was also present at OTAs and at mandatory minicamp. He's around, wasn't doing too much participation or anything, but we've seen him doing some work during the summer. We saw pictures of him doing, working out with Tyler Shuck and Bub Means over at Tulane, excuse me. He's dealing with a knee injury that he suffered at the very, very end of last season, like literally in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. It was super unfortunate against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, you have to keep in mind that with Foster Moreau, the knee injury is something to monitor. It's something that may be something that could linger. I don't think it will, to be totally honest. But again, you want to have tight ends available, so I think that's why they brought in Seth Green. Moreau did say back in May that the knee is doing great, and he'd say that they're ahead of schedule. So that's pretty good news around him. We'll have to see when he can get back on the field. But I do have high expectations, high hope for Foster Moreau. Kellen Moore has given him a lot of praise and a lot of credit for taking on a massive leadership role for the New Orleans Saints. So I'm excited to get him back on the field because he is a very valuable piece, in my opinion. Now, I want to get your confidence scaled on the tight end room. 1 to 100. What do you guys think about it? 1 meaning not confident whatsoever. 100 meaning, man, this might be the best tight end room in the National Football League. I'm flirting somewhere between 65, 75. There's still a lot to prove. I have high expectations, I hope, for Juwan Johnson. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But, I do think that there's a lot left to be, or there's a lot of unknown with this tight end room, especially with Taysom Hill being injured. So that's why I'm a little bit shaky on it. But, I want to hear from y'all, the WHo Dat Nation. Speaking of the WHo Dat Nation, it's the best fans in the whole wide world, isn't it? So we have the WHo Dat Nation. That's an amazing fan base. But here at Saints Now by Chat Sports, we have the Golden Gang. So if you want to join our family of 46,609 crazy Saints fans, subscribe to Saints Now by Chat Sports. Golden Gang is an 100% free membership. All you do is hit the big red subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and you just be a part of our squad. Let us know if you subscribe in today's video because I'd love to give you a shout out on our live show later on. Let's go to Juwan Johnson because I believe he is set to have a huge season behind Kellen Moore. And with Kellen Moore coaching and calling the plays on the offensive side of the football, I believe he's due for a breakout season. And over the course of his career, he's had some very good highs and he had some very low lows. And for what it's worth, the big issue with Juwan Johnson has been the inconsistency, and he's aware of that. He understands that he needs to put an entire season together. But I do believe that 6'4", 231 pounds, this is going to be a very valuable piece of the Saints offense, especially considering the fact that right now, as it stands on June 18th at 10:48 a.m. Central Time, there is not a single wide receiver on this depth chart or on this team that is above 6'2". So he is right now one of the biggest, if not the biggest, I'd have to double check that. I'm pretty sure he is the biggest target for the New Orleans Saints. And I think that he just needs to prove that he can put together an entire season. At one point in time, I labeled this guy as Mr. Reliable because I believe it was in his 2022 season. Over half of his catches were either touchdowns or first down. So they either completed or extended a drive. So I was very, very high on him. But it's been just the ebbs and flows, man. He starts off hot and then kind of takes a dip, or he starts slow and then really ramps up towards the end of the season, giving you confidence. And just, I want to see him really cash in on that 3-year, $30.75 million contract he signed. The Saints brought him back because they wanted him back. Kellen Moore wanted Juwan Johnson to be on this roster. He valued him. He made him feel valued, and that's ultimately why Juwan Johnson came back, and it's because of a late-night phone call that Kellen Moore initiated, and he basically laid out why he wants him on the roster, what's the plan, and he made Juwan Johnson feel valued and feel like he was wanted on the team and he was desired, and that is why I believe there is a big, big role for him. Kellen Moore would not have tried to bring him back if he didn't want to make him a featured part of the offense. And I do believe there's been a lot of discussion of the wide receiver role that he could potentially switch to. I think it's just going to be a tight end wide receiver hybrid. I just think that we're going to be able to see a lot of two tight end sets. Kellen Moore has been on the record saying we're going to find a way to put the best players on the field. And if two tight end sets, if you have two premier tight ends, you're going to get them on the field. And so I believe Juwan Johnson is due for a breakout season. We got a lot more to discuss around this topic here. Really quickly, though, I want to inform you that the clearance sale is almost over. Chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. Make sure you get yours today. These are absolutely fresh. They were the ones that the team, the coaches, staff, everyone wore on the sidelines. So if you want to get one of these hoodies, I have one, Lopez has one, and you should get one too. Chatsports.com/Saints hoodie sale. Link is clickable in the comments and description of this show, or you just search this in the URL bar right above me. Let's go continue this conversation because it is interesting that Tyler Shuck and Juwan Johnson actually have chemistry, and they actually have a history. Juwan Johnson, fun fact, was a wide receiver for the Oregon Ducks when Tyler Shuck was a quarterback, which is really, really crazy. We're going to show you the picture that Nick Underhill attached. Look at that. That's Juwan Johnson up at the top of the field, at the top of the picture circled. You have Tyler Shuck at the quarterback position. That's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. Again, there's the whole age discussion around Tyler Shuck. It's pretty hilarious. Last player ever that will be drafted to the National Football League, born in the 90s, which is insane to say out loud, Lopez. That's absolutely weird. Regardless, like my whole point bringing this thing up was there's not established, but there is a history. They are familiar with each other, and I believe because of that, Juwan Johnson could be a very big safety blanket for Tyler Shuck, and especially when it comes to needing somebody in the red zone, needing somebody to convert on first down. I would personally like to see Juwan Johnson get more involved in the red zone. He is one of the biggest bodies that the Saints have as a receiving threat, and he does have the history as a wide receiver, so let him cook. He has made some really nice catches. He's had some really good moments, and if you look at the tape, he has had some impressive touchdowns, showing off some really nice athleticism, really good route running, and I think he's overall developing into a better tight end. I want to see him be more utilized as a nice receiving threat because I think that that's just been something that if he can prove can be consistent is a very, very underrated underrated tool on the roster. And on top of that, I'll say if he pans out and is a stud this year, that contract is going to prove to be very, very lucrative for the New Orleans Saints and very, very cheap. And the Saints will have won that contract deal, if you will. So what are your expectations realistically for Juwan Johnson this season? 800 yards, 8 touchdowns? Maybe you expect 1,000 yards. Maybe you really only expect like 200-300 yards. What do you guys think? I think that he will have a big season, but I want to hear from you. Who Dat Nation, like I mentioned, we will be live later on today, so be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. For me, for my guy Loco Lopez, we will see y'all later. Y'all stay golden.